Today we're going to be diving into the Arizona Cardinals versus the Minnesota Vikings aftermath. And I thought with a good night's sleep that I might actually feel a little bit better this Monday morning. That ain't the case. It still hurts. Let's go and dive right into this game and all the implications that happened after week 13. Let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack up that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. On this channel, we're covering the Arizona Cardinals throughout the entirety of the 2024 season, so subscribe it up. It's absolutely for free. All right, everybody, let's go and dive right into it. Let's talk about the Week 13 aftermath, Cardinals versus the Minnesota Vikings. And like I said in the beginning of the intro, I truly thought with a good night's sleep, I would actually feel a little bit better here on Monday morning, but nope, not at all. Still kind of hurts. With just an opportunity here with the Cardinals for, to try to get some sort of ground here within the NFC West, and they had the opportunity in week 12 as well as week 13 against the Minnesota Vikings, and again squandering the opportunity with just multiple different reasons as to the reason why we lost. Right now, there was plenty of times where Cardinal fans felt pretty darn good about our chances of winning this game, and just the fashion of the Cardinals being the Cardinals, right? Just kind of like that saying that people says that the Cardinals are always just going to be the Cardinals, right? It almost kind of feels like that, which is very, very unfortunate because, like I said, right, whether it was, Chad Ryland missing that field goal, which, like I said, I don't blame Chad Ryland. Yes, that was a crucial 3 points there, but it happens, right? Or, Jonathan Gannon not going for that fourth down. The penalties that consistently just killed ourselves over and over again, or just not being able to execute and getting touchdowns in the red zone and having to settle for field goal, right? Eventually that's going to catch up to you, and it did. The Cardinals lost by 1 freaking point, losing to the Minnesota Vikings 23-22. Now, I want to be very clear, mathematically it's not over yet. The good thing is that this NFC West is as bad as it's been for a very long time. Right now, the Seattle Seahawks are leading the division at 7-5. Good for them. I know I've been very, very negative on Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks, but they are proving me wrong, and I am eating crow. So let's see if they can continue it going, right? The Cardinals right now are 6-6. The Rams won again, so they are 6-6, and then the 49ers are sitting at 5-7, with losing to the Buffalo Bills in a very, very dominant fashion for the Bills. So it's not over yet, right? It's not over. We got a division matchup here versus the Seattle Seahawks, and then you got some games coming after that with the I believe it's the Patriots and then the Panthers. And then you finish off the season with those 2 division games, which it's most likely going to come down to the last division games, whether it's going to be the Cardinals versus the 49ers, which I don't know if the 49ers really have much skin in the game right now, but mathematically they're not done, or, the Cardinals versus the Rams. But, there is room to say that the Seahawks potentially could win this division as well with how they're playing right now, and Geno Smith looking as, pretty good as he's looking, right? They're getting wins at the end of the day, and that's the most important thing. Now, let's talk about this Arizona Cardinal team right now and all kind of the storylines that we're getting outside of Week 13, and right now we're hearing so many people obviously frustrated with this Cardinals offense underperforming, people either blaming the defense for not stopping the Minnesota Vikings on that last drive, Chad Ryland for missing a field goal. The excuses and there's everything is a problem. Everything is a problem. I don't think one thing weighs more than the other. I feel like everybody deserves a shared blame in this loss for the Cardinals. Now, one of the big storylines, or I guess the 2 big storylines right now, is the consistently or the continuing of the bashing of your young wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr., saying that he should have gotten more catches under his belt because he was targeted 12 times from Kyler Murray and only caught 5, right? So there's 7 of those catches they weren't caught by Marvin Harrison Jr. And another storyline is, of course, people raving and saying things like fire Drew Petzing, right? So let's first dive into the whole Drew Petzing situation. Now, I'm not going to come out here and say that Drew Petzing doesn't deserve any of the blame, right? But I don't think it's Drew Petzing's fault entirely, right? I don't. Now, the whole dink and dunk situation that we're living in right now, because let's call it like it is, the Arizona Cardinals, especially in week 12 versus the Seattle Seahawks, and I actually thought leaving that game that the game plan was we're going to dink and dunk because the elements that we're dealing with, right? We're going to try to lean on our run game very, very heavily. Now, obviously, we found out that the run game didn't really work out in Seattle, but that was my impersonation of why we were dinking and dunking and trying to keep everything in front of us and trying to, go down the field that way. But no, that's not the case, because even when we were playing in a dome, we're consistently seeing this dink and dunk type of offense, and we're not seeing our quarterback really have the confidence to either throw the ball beyond the sticks or even completing anything 15, 20 plus yards, or, and I'm talking about in the beginning of the game. Now, granted, we did see those plays in the second half. Maybe those were some adjustments, but even in that last drive where the Cardinals needed to get a field goal, right, and try to drive down the field, we couldn't even convert a first down because the first play was a dink and dunk over to Trey McBride. Now, I understand that Trey McBride is probably going to be the safety blanket of Kyler Murray, and honestly, that probably would be my safety blanket too, right? He's a really, really good tight end, always seems to kind of catch every single ball that's sent his way, but honestly, right now, I feel like Drew Petzing, everybody's focusing on him too much, and I don't know. I feel like if he does get let go at the end of the year, it's going to be a scapegoat. I really do feel like it's going to be a scapegoat. I feel like this Arizona Cardinals offense has all the things that they need to try to win games, right? We've seen this Cardinals team win games with Drew Petzing, right? And here's the thing. If he does get fired, I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but it's going to be one of those things where you're just going to constantly fire people left and right because it doesn't fit Kyler Murray's scheme. Now, here's a big kicker out there, right? Jonathan Gannon, I don't think he's in the hot seat at all, and he shouldn't be in the hot seat. I think Jonathan Gannon right now, with all the heat that is being said by these fans and blaming everything here on Drew Petzing, I'm so curious to figure out how he's going to maneuver this, right? Is he going to bring back Drew Petzing? Because let's call it like it is. Nick Rallis and Drew Petzing were his hires, right? Is he going to be able to be okay with just allowing his offensive coordinator to take the heat for the situation, right? Now, obviously, it just depends on what happens at the end of the season. Right now, the Cardinals still have 5 games ahead of them with the Seattle Seahawks, the Rams, the 49ers, the Panthers, as well as the Patriots as well. So I'm so curious to figure out how the season's going to end for the Cardinals. But, I mean, mathematically it's not over yet, right? But we're still a 500 team. We're 6-6, and I know people don't want me to be positive, but there is still a little light at the end of the tunnel, and right now it's not over till it's over. Now, if they lose against the Seahawks, then we're probably talking about a potential collapse here for the Cardinals. Now, I get it. We still have the Panthers and we still have the Patriots, but I don't know. They're looking pretty darn good as of late as well. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how that shakes out. But I'm one of those. I'm one of the minority. I'm one of the minority that feels like it's not all Drew. I don't think it's all Drew. I think that there is some play calls that are a little questionable when it comes down to, calling plays and situational play calling. But at the end of the day, the person who has the last say and the person who actually snaps the ball is Kyler Murray. The autonomy of audibling out of specific play, especially of what he sees on the field, he's got all the autonomy in the world, or at least I would hope he's got all the autonomy in the world, because he's a 6-year quarterback. You would think that, he would be able to audible out of those plays. Now, granted, it is kind of one of those things that I mentioned on my post-game reaction, right? It's kind of hard to harp on the idea that, man, why are we going for a run on a 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 7, right? Where we actually seen the Cardinals do that again in the 4th quarter or the 3rd quarter of this last game, and it actually worked, right? With Amari DeMarcado or James Conner or Troy Benson. Like, it actually worked. So it's kind of hard to harp on the idea of, oh man, we shouldn't be doing that when we see it work. But it is kind of one of those things where, like, what do we have more confidence in, right? Do we have more confidence in the run game, or do we have more confidence in your franchise quarterback and Kyler Murray to get those 6-7 yards, right? I mean, I know the big question out there is, or the big debate is, Jonathan Gannon should go for that 4th down. Maybe he didn't have confidence. Maybe he didn't have confidence in the Arizona Cardinals offense to convert it, right? Now, granted, we would still be up by 3 points if we did do that. And being the fact that Sam Darnold in this Minnesota Vikings offense was actually hitting their stride and scoring points in what felt like every single drive in the second half, maybe he just didn't have confidence in the offense that we're going to be able to do it. Like, and it's a decision that was made by Jonathan Gannon. He did come out and say, yes, it was his decision that came about it. He felt confident. He did. The defense looked a lot better in the first half than they did in the second half. That's the truth. But that's kind of one of those things, right? When you're playing these 60 minutes of football, that's why it's super important to get a touchdown and not settle for field goals every single time you're down there in the red zone. So there's a lot of kind of blame to go around in this whole situation. You can blame JG, you can blame Chad Ryland, you can blame Tip Ryman, although the replay says that he actually didn't even jump at all. I don't even know why he got called for that false start, but you can blame Kyler Murray, you can blame the wide receiver, you can blame whoever you want, whoever makes you sleep better at night. But honestly, I think you got to look at this in the grand scope of things. There's a lot of stuff that's happening with this Arizona Cardinals offense, and it's not like, oh, this is one game. This is a consistent issue that we've been dealing with for what seems like weeks now, and it's still not being able to be resolved. So if Drew Petzing does get fired and does get the axe at the end of the season, obviously it depends. Like if the Cardinals finish off at 8 wins, I don't think he's going anywhere. But if there is this major collapse, to me, it's not just all fire Drew Petzing, and that's the way that's not where my take is going. We need a fix internally in what's going on. Now, Kyler Murray, has he looked great? I mean, has he looked bad or has he looked great? No, I think Kyler Murray is somewhere down the middle where he could make more plays to make himself very good, but there's still some things that he's still struggling with since year one of being a rookie quarterback, and he's still kind of dealing with those same issues, right? Not knowing where the sticks are, not really being too confident in when actually, throwing the ball beyond the sticks. It's a lot of dink and dunk. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that yes, there are specific plays that are multiple curls or multiple, routes that are being ran before the sticks, right? And I'm not saying that there's no plays like that, but if you got to think about, look at the film here, the decision of going under is Kyler Murray, right? Now, does he need a little bit more time? Maybe he's a little panicky. I don't know, right? I'm not saying this is all on Kyler Murray, but the decision of dinking dunking is the quarterback for throwing it there, because look at the play again. There's a lot of other routes happening if you allow a little bit more time, a split second more for that to develop. But we're deciding to throw the ball short a lot more times than not. So it's a lot of situations that's currently happening right now, and I'm excited to take a look at the film and really figure out exactly what went wrong in this Cardinals game. But I think it's really obvious. The Cardinals didn't take advantage of the opportunities when they were in the red zone. That's just as simple as that. They did not take advantage. They settled for field goals. We allowed penalties to beat us, and we just couldn't get our offense clicking in a high fashion. Now, yes, did our defense not hold the lead at the end? Yes, they did. But we also did have plenty of time in that last drive with 1 minute and 12 seconds-ish and 3 timeouts. Had plenty of time to drive up the field, and the Cardinals offense couldn't do it. We threw an interception instead. So it's kind of one of those things where it's unfortunate. It really is, but that's NFL, man. It's an NFL game. Nobody cares how you win as long as you got the W in the win column. That's all that matters. But let's talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. here real quick. Another big storyline is Marvin Harrison Jr. got 12 targets, 5 receptions. He's not all that it's cracked up to be. He's talked about generational talent, right? I want to kind of address this in my personal opinion. Now, if you don't agree with me, that's okay. That's completely fine. Has he had some drops in his career? Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's wide receivers for you, right? They're not going to catch every single thing that's thrown their way. And especially he's a 22-year-old rookie, right? It almost kind of feels like the blame is being put a lot on Drew, and the idea that Marvin Harrison Jr. is not all that it's cracked up to be, right? He's a generational talent that should be catching everything. That's where I feel like all the blame's going to, and I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right, to be honest with you. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a rookie at the end of the day, 22-year-old rookie that's going to get better, that's going to develop into being the guy that we need him to be. He's doing really, really good for being a rookie. And here's the thing, you can get better from your rookie year from your sophomore year, right? Some people don't feel like that's the case. Like, people think that, oh, this is who he is. He's slow. He doesn't finish a route. He doesn't have those competitive, those catches. But like I said, man, it didn't take. It's going to take a little bit of time to develop him to be that superstar wide receiver 1 right now for the Cardinals. Is there a little bit of struggles that we're seeing from him, this rookie stuff? Yeah, of course. That comes with, being a collegiate player to the NFL player, right? You're talking about a 22-year-old guy that's playing with men, right? 28-year-old men, 31-year-old men, 30-year-old men. Sometimes maybe he just needs to get out of that, that shell shock, right? He needs to be a little bit more physical. Yeah, that's the truth. I can definitely say that as well. I think he could be a little bit more physical, right? But that's all going to come with time in terms of development and him actually growing within the NFL and growing within the system. The problem is that the system is not really for wide receivers. It's a really, really run heavy type of offense. And when given the opportunity, I don't know. It almost kind of feels like a lot of the targets that are getting sent his way, they're not really catchable balls in my personal opinion, or they're plays that should be made because you need to have some sort of connection with your quarterback. And let's call it like it is. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray still don't have the chemistry that we would love to see at this point in week 13, now heading into week 14. They still don't have it. They still don't have the connection, and I don't know who to blame, right? You can't blame Drew Petzing on that. You can't blame Drew Petzing with the penalties. It's just all these things that need to be fixed up, all the little details that are still not being resolved, and it all kind of lies on the hands of, who's the veteran, right? Who's the veteran? Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's the veteran. This is year 6, and I'm not saying it's all on Kyler Murray, and I want to be very clear because everybody, you can't say one thing about Kyler because everybody's like, oh, you're blaming everything on Kyler. That's not the case. I just already went through multiple different reasons as to why we lost this game, but if you're a franchise quarterback, you want to get on the same page with your rookie wide receiver, you got to find some sort of more details to try to fix and fine-tune what's going on, right? The miscommunication with another potential back shoulder pass that Marvin Harrison Jr. either wasn't ready for it or looked a little too late. Those are the details that need to kind of get fine-tuned, and you would hope that they would get fine-tuned at this point in the season. But how are we going to blame a rookie wide receiver? How are we going to blame a guy that's just played 13 games? Oh, it's all his fault. It's all his fault. He should know better. That's crazy to me. That's absolutely nuts to me. I have all the confidence in the world that this guy is going to be a great wide receiver here in the NFL. This is his rookie year. A couple different things that are a little worrisome. Yes, I'll give you that. The physicality isn't probably 100% there yet. Not really 100% fighting for those balls yet. Yes, 100%. But that's going to come in time. That's going to come in time in terms of him getting more reps, him getting more years under his belt. I have no thoughts in my mind that that's going to come in time here with Marvin Harrison Jr. But alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go and close up shop here right now. I know this was a very lengthy aftermath, but there was a lot to talk about here in this specific game. How do you feel so far about the Arizona Cardinals right now sitting at 6-6? Do you think they squandered the opportunity? Do you think there's still hope? What are your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen? Let me know in the comments below. I appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day and go Cardinals.